Good morning, everyone. Coming to our commission meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. It's 9:05. Invitation, can everyone stand and we'll have Commissioner Evans do this for us?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning that we ask for your prayers and to be with the family of the young man that lost his life in an auto accident from the Alamo. The other people that are suffering, only you know, and how to ease their pain, their suffering. We pray for our law enforcement. We pray for our soldiers. We pray for the people that are incarcerated, that they may return to the public in a better way. And we ask that you help us create the tools that our children need for the future and make sound, good decisions on this commission. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. I salute the flag of the States. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Aguilar. Vice Chair Secretary. Commissioner Duggins.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Here.
Chair Martinez.
Present, ma'am. We have a quorum. Item 6, approval of agenda. I'd like to recommend to the commission to move a new business. Item C, Socorro General Hospital Distribution Meal Levy Fund Proceeds up to A. If that's all right with you guys, Commission? Yes, but it's on C and move it to A right after. These Cowboys, we don't need to keep them out to do it. No, they're E. They're E.
Yeah.
B, E, E, yeah. Very quick. Okay, leave it like that. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez. Need a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Duggins to move item C to item A and new business. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved with the changes. Approval of minutes of March 28, 2023. Commissioners, have you had a chance to review the minutes in your packet? If you have, I say, I need a motion to accept them as presented.
So move.
Second by Commissioner Duggins. Second by Commissioner Aguilar. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The March 28, 2023 minutes are approved. And please tell Ms. Amijo, thank you.
I will.
Committee and department reports. Acknowledge department reports. Detention center. Item, you saw the report from the detention center, commissioners? Mike, I just had one question. Did they have some plumbing problems? I heard at the detention center. Back up. You don't know.
Chairman, I have, Commission, I have information on that, so it must have been a major.
Yeah. Yesterday, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a big issue, that day. Okay. Road Department. Art's not here, so.
He fixing the roads.
Okay. And we still, maybe you know, Mike, we haven't hired an assistant yet.
No, I was actually contemplating revisiting the market analysis on that position and actually contemplating offering a signing bonus to entice. We've advertised it now for a year and a half. Actually, we have one applicant, but it was an applicant that, well, we have one applicant, I guess I'll just leave it at that. It's been a year and a half, and I know other intermediate B counties, I think their market price compensation is a little bit higher, so I'm probably gonna revisit that. And then see if that will actually entice some more applicants, similar to what we did at the detention center and actually throughout the county.
Okay.
If I may,
Go ahead.
You know if the return to work passed?
She didn't pocket veto that, but it's my understanding there's some other guidelines within it. I think we just, the same guidelines we had discussed.
There might be some applicants now.
I hope so.
Mr. Chairman, I think some of these cowboys can run those machines.
They can apply. Okay, item B, acknowledge manager's report.
Commissioner, I guess verbal report.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman and Commission, just some of the important issues. I attended the Assessors Affiliate Conference that was here in Socorro at the newly renovated convention center that the city has. They've done a really good job. They are lacking still audio video, but the mayor has said that they're working at trying to get that in. But it was a very successful meeting. A lot of good information, a lot of information sharing. Time clock status, Tyler left out some power source parts and they are on order. I just received them yesterday and Quaylen is putting them in today. 9 machines placed at strategic locations waiting to be powered up and receive trainings. The training will be coming down the pike once we get the power. I did make a trip to Washington DC, and while I was there, I met with Senator Lujan's staff to review the grant proposals submitted for Escondido Lake. They seemed very positive about it, but obviously it's at the next level. So at least we've made it that far. That's the best I can say. Then the status on Escondido Lake project is moving along, awaiting 2 bids on the aeration project. Submitted beautification grant and met with the representatives yesterday to strengthen the grant and reduce the requested amount due to available funds. Projects that are moving along, signed task order with DEC to work on easement negotiations in on the San Antonio flood project. Received notification from Virginia Alguire at BLM phase 1 of ESA has been completed. So we're making incremental steps to getting that done. And then I reached out to Virgil Sandoval, president of the chapter, reference submitting a resolution, and DEC and I are working on the verbiage to get that done. We've already had some conversations with Patrick Antonio and put him in contact with Gary from DEC to, we've notified the Navajo agencies that we need to get required documents into in order to meet their regulatory standards. Signed a letter of intent with appraiser regarding property near Sholey Bridge. And so that gets us closer to us trying to settle that issue. CR 91 and Kaida Limitar are still moving along with the final design coming down the pipe. I think they're 95% done. Submitted a proposal for TPPF grant regarding El Centro. Made the proposal presentation and review committee advised to tweak a few proposed ideas to make it stronger before the deadline submission. The request is for 1.1 million. I met with Jim Lopez and Marianne Chavez and set up a meeting with county assessor regarding property assessment needs to move the housing project that's going to go up on 60. Review past cannabis permits and issue paperwork for renewals and new proposed cultivation sites. Those are multiplying at a rapid number. Review a multitude of IPRA and very intricate requests in audio video prior to release. And progress is continuing on the countywide energy efficiency project is drawing to a close, and then just minor issues to be resolved. And then you'll see later in the commission meeting, I had to complete the research and analysis of compensation regarding county appointed officials in elected departments and prepared it for the commissions.
Amen. Any questions from the manager, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, Manager Hawks, were you able to get a hold of the BLM on that Gordy Hill stuff?
I actually had a meeting with Kasuga, Jason, and I mentioned it along with trying to meet with him on Escondido issues. And we actually had talked about some other issues, but no, not on that yet specific.
And the bid has been awarded to the architect or no?
So the architect was Site Southwest, and the person that we were mainly dealing with left.
Of course.
And and they didn't notify us, and so I kept on sending them emails and calling them, and finally I talked to the owner and said, we're going to get ready to go out to another RFP to somebody else because this is ridiculous. We should already have concepts in front of the commission. So their issue was some of the insurance coverage that our normal RFP responses require. We met and ran it by the attorney, and we tweaked it according to what their capability and capacity was. So that got tweaked. And then it took at least another week to finally sign because everybody's in and out. But yeah, Site Southwest is on board and we're moving forward. But we already, we're waiting for 2 bids on the aeration because we're just going to move forward on the aeration to try to get where we can actually have trout in that lake.
Could it be dredged? They tell me it's full of fishing wire, or I don't know.
Our main concern was
Casuga Hill.
then I'm running some stuff through land history, and actually the attorney and I are probably going to meet next week to go through land history to see exactly what the history on all that is before we start doing some other stuff. But we did put some different type of carp in the lake that eat the moss and everything. That's one of the reasons it's so muddy and murky. But we had to bring them all the way from Arizona, and Game and Fish had to supervise it. And I think we put 21 in there. So that'll help some.
If it was deeper, it wouldn't.
Yeah. So one of the things, part of the aeration idea is for them to come in and see what benefits that will do as well, and if dredging has to occur.
Any more questions, Commissioner?
Just that you got a water inlet on one end and an outlet on the other, it would be nice to keep a little fresh water in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
Before we move on the road department, I needed to mention, got an email from the district courts ranger here in Magdalenas. We used to have a contract to be able to grade the roads in the Forest Service. Now we don't. An agreement. So the roads are really bad. Most of the Forest Service roads that we blade. The county cannot blade the roads until the Forest Service gives us the blessing. She sent an email to us and told us that we cannot go on any of our roads because we don't have a signed agreement unless they give us permission. Last week or 2 weeks ago, they cleaned some cattle guards and she told us that we should have called her. Well, when a rancher calls you that the cattle guards are full, his cows are getting out, we need to clean them. You know, we did it for a safety issue. But now, any other work that we do, we have to get permission from them before we do the work. Have anything to add to it, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, that's exactly correct. And we thought we had an agreement earlier in the year, and then once it got sent to headquarters, they changed the rules, I guess. And even the district manager here didn't know that. But in addition to that, would like to remind you did write a letter, you signed a letter to the Secretary of NMDOT as well as District 1 Engineer concerning I-25 and US 60 condition in not having any plans in the near future to address the deteriorating shape of 60 and I-25. So that letter was sent.
Thank you. I think they say, I hear they have $1 billion for road maintenance, so I hope we get some of that money. Yes, Mr.
Did she specify, or Mike as well, did they specify in regards to what really the holdup was in regards to having that agreement in place?
She did. To cut to the chase, it's really something that was required out of DC. And within the agreement, everybody has to remember that the Forest Service, their maintenance of road is considered that you can, if you have a 4-wheel drive, then that's considered maintained. It's not nice and even and bladed. If it has ruts and everything, then it's considered maintained and only 1 pass a year. But the main thing was that there were some rule changes out of DC and concerning, well, and they reduced the funding as well. So it went from 24 and change to, I think, 19. So it's at the federal level. That's the best I can say.
And Commissioners and Mike, this morning early, I got some calls from some individuals that want to go hunting this weekend for turkey. And they were asking me why the road to Bear Trap was still closed. I said, you have to call the Forest Service. They closed it for the fires, but I called the Forest Service this morning to find out. And they told me that the roads are such bad condition that they don't know when they'll open them or if they'll open them. The road that goes into Bear Trap. You can walk in there, but you can't drive in there. So
Mr. Chairman, I think it's part of a whole deal of the feds don't want you on the land. Nobody, well, it's the truth. They don't want the ranchers. They don't want nobody, you know.
well, it's
And it ought to belong to the people, really.
yes, I agree. Okay, acknowledge April birthdays. Who wants to do that, Commissioners?
Let John do it.
Let's just sing that birthday and be done with it.
I'll go ahead. Look, John Aguilar, Ward 2 Commissioner. Rudy Apalaca, Road Department, April 5th. Adam Steinke.
Yeah.
I got it right, huh? Yeah. Emergency Management, 428. And Manuel Vega II, April 16th, Detention Center. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Okay, acknowledge Commissioners report. Commissioner Aguilar, do you have anything?
I do not at this time, sir.
Okay. Vice Chair Secretary.
No, I don't have anything at this point, sir.
Commissioner Duggins.
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
I'm just in one of those moods. I've been very busy. I haven't been able to get a haircut, but I'm getting one tomorrow. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. My part is today we're going to honor some people from our senior centers, the three of them. And we're going to honor our attorney too. But I've been helping some of the people in the senior centers getting information, the ones that are not going to go back to work or are considering completely retiring. I will mention this again. For the ones that are young enough and they come to work for the county, you have to look at Social Security. You have to work somewhere else in order to get that benefit. There's one employee that recently got out now, he found out the hard way. With the retirement that they're gonna get, it's not enough. And now they have to pay the full medical insurance in order to keep the insurance, our county insurance. Our county pays 75% of that insurance for all our county employees, which is a big benefit. This person now, to cover for medical, gonna cost her $624 a month. That's a lot of money to pay every month. To grind retirement, or if you don't have enough for Social Security. The years go by pretty quick. When you're young, you don't think about it. We have an individual that worked for the senior center that went to work somewhere else where they pay Social Security. I think that was a wise move because eventually she'll be able to get Social Security someday. Many people say it might not be there. Well, I don't know if it will or not, but you don't know what's going to happen. You just got to plan to make sure that when you retire, you have enough to live. And to me, it's very hard to see something. It's happened before in our county. It's happened before in our county. So to me, I can't emphasize, we need it. We need that benefit, I feel.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I might, I think the health insurance benefit is from the county like 80%, isn't it? And were the employees not, was it not put in front of them to choose either the retirement or the Social Security?
No.
What was?
No, the county does not participate in Social Security. There's a lot of things that you can say about Social Security as well. And also when you receive a defined benefit plan is that what the county offers. Depending on your age and stuff, there's stuff to consider which influences your Social Security benefit called the windfall tax. And I have that conversation with several employees along the way. Some employees actually do get second positions so they can get enough quarters for Social Security and understanding that what their benefit might be by the end when they reach either the retirement age. The retirement age now recognized by Social Security is 67. Of course, you can go before that, but then you're looking at benefit deductions. There's a lot of things to consider, but the county does not offer Social Security, especially with the older, because they've been here longer. They didn't offer it a long time ago either.
Well, if you retire, the medical insurance is very expensive wherever you go. So right there, that's going to take a big chunk of your retirement. You're going to have to work. And if you can't get Medicare when you become of age, then there's another shortfall. You'll have to continue working or paying that high dollar insurance. So I just, in other words, what I'm saying is plan ahead. Plan ahead because the time goes by pretty quick. Public comment. During this portion of the meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. The County Commission is not able to take action on matters discussed during public comment. Speakers are requested to state their name for the record. Any public comment? No. No? Okay. We'll move on to public Public hearing. A, ordinance 2023-01, amending the Socorro County Personnel Ordinance 2016-02 to modify the salaries of the undersheriff, sheriff administrator, and chief deputy assessor, clerk, and treasurer.
Mr. Chairman, if you would motion to go into public hearing.
I need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? There are none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we are now in public comment.
Mr. Chairman, if I might give a brief introduction and then turn it over to you. And Mr. Chairman, before you is an ordinance. Hold on 1 second.
This is the first ordinance, right, for this year?
This
This is the first ordinance of the year?
it is
Okay.
first one.
2023-01.
I was just double checking.
You're sharp. You catch everything.
If I might, so Mr. Chairman, currently elected official pay, of course, is capped by the state of New Mexico, depending on the size of the county you have. And the county can implement elected official pay up to that statutory cap. And then that is what the pay is for the entire term. And this board has done that. I believe they did it last year, and they do it every once in a while. However, what's special about with elected officials is they generally have each an appointee where the personnel policy doesn't apply to them, and that appointee is solely that elected official's employee. Unlike the majority of employees in this county, where the Board of County Commissioners sets the rules and policies, for the appointed officials, it is solely within the realm of the elected officials. That said, where the board does have statutory and constitutional control is by setting their salaries, the salaries of the appointed officials. Traditionally in this county, like many other counties, where that's been done is in the personnel policy ordinance, and they set the amount of the appointed official's salary, and that's done in section 13.2 of the county's current personnel policy. What's important for me to point out is, unlike the elected officials, and that's why I started with that, where there is a cap, there is actually no cap on an appointed official. You can set it at whatever this board deems to be appropriate in conjunction with the elected officials. Generally, what we see in the state, although it's not the only rule, there's lots of different ways to do it, but generally the appointed official's salary is set as a percentage of the elected official's salary. Currently in Socorro, chief deputies receive 85% of the elected official's salary. And then the sheriff actually has two appointees, which is the undersheriff and the sheriff's administrative secretary. And that salary is set at 70% currently. The only way to change this in our system is to adopt an ordinance that would amend those amounts and change those salaried amounts. Unlike with elected officials, this can be done at any time. Elected officials, you have to do it before December 31st or they're stuck. These can actually be changed at any time with the adoption of this ordinance. So before you is a simple ordinance that only changes section 13.2 of the personnel policy. However, the numbers, the percentages are left blank, and so Mike has done a market analysis to present to you all, and so you will kind of decide what you would like to place in that amount. And I'm sorry for the long introduction, but for a short ordinance, but that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. Mike?
Thank you, Adrian.
Quick question. So when I went over the ordinance, when I was reading it, I know the first several parts is setting up know, okay, this is what happened back in 1978. Now, the third point is the third bullet on April 16, 2023. So is that a typo or?
That is you're always good at typos. It should be.
I just.
No, you're absolutely. I thank you for catching it. That should be 2016, and I just now fixed it. Thank you. I'm glad you're always on top of those.
Sharp about that.
Okay, so I just want to do a little bit of background. So here is the market analysis. So if you look at what Socorro County is, we are a B intermediate. There's 9 B intermediate counties. So if we're going to do a market analysis, we have to compare apples to apples. We didn't go class A or high B. I did it intermediate. And so within that are the different pays, the statutory capability, and then what people are actually getting paid.
Can you make it bigger, boss?
Yes, sir.
Bigger.
Okay. Let me move on to, that was just sort of background, just so you know. So here's our survey. Here's the survey. Here's the 9 intermediate. Okay. And here's the, so cap, the one it usually gives a cap. And then, so follow along that. Can you see it now or no?
Mm-mm.
Probably not, no.
It's
So,
Yeah.
can make it a little bigger.
We can walk up there. You guys want to see it?
So,
I see it a little now.
so as you go along, you can see what intermediate, here's the caps for intermediate, 64.8, 44, right, depending on the position. Then it shows what each county pays. You can see Socorro County is fairly high when it comes to intermediate. So let me,
Oh, that's better.
yeah, that's even.
I see.
Okay, so you go down, you see undersheriff, probate judge, treasurer, everybody, right? So that gives you where we're at and what everybody's paying. That's just what I utilized for data. It comes to Socorro County, all the other intermediate, okay? Here's the 9 intermediate. Here's the commission cap, what everybody else, what we're capped at. I don't know how Mora County pays their commission 34,000 when it's capped at 21. I don't know how that happens. So especially if
It's a typo.
especially the state statutes go on. I don't know how that gets done, but so, and then I developed the mean. I didn't go into median or mode because those were nonsensical when you're trying to do this. So I just stayed with the mean, which means the average. Clerk cap, and this is what the state allows for intermediate B. There are some that did not say what they're paying their clerk. So I took the ones that I were able to obtain, and as you can see, the mean is 52,776. And with that, that means that on average, they're paying 88%. Their clerks get 88% of what their chief deputy gets, 88% of what the clerks get. But that's because they are, when you take the average, some are very close. Socorro at 85% would mean that the chief deputy would have to increase their salary by $692.02 to meet the average of all the other intermediate Bs. And we're at 80, so we're at 85. So if we went to 80, I'll just do the math real quick in my head, probably even 86% would put us probably close to that, making up that $692. Then you go to assessor. There's the cap. This is what we pay. This is what the new compensation package came up with. This is what the average is. They're paying 88%. Even at us paying 84%, I know you're not gonna like this, Chief Assessor, Deputy. We actually beat the market rate by $4,489.69. So they're above, even though we only pay 85 and other pays 88 on the average, because of our high salary, we average paying $4,489 more than other counties in intermediate B. Then you go to treasurer, same thing, treasurer, average is 52.7, average is 92% of salaries to get it to 48,875.21. And Socorro at 85% is underpaying the chief treasurer deputy. That's because our treasurer is in a year where the election, we couldn't implement the new compensation package. So that has impact on that. Okay? So even with that, that means we're paying by 3,031. The thing that would influence it, if this was an election year, we would probably be like we are over here, overpaying. Sheriff cap is at that. Our sheriff makes 63, the average is 55, the undersheriff is 54, and what that averages out to is 97.54. What that means is their salaries are lower, and so on average, they're paying their undersheriff higher at a higher percentage, but even with Socorro paying at 85%, we're only underpaying our undersheriff by $424, based at 85%.
The administrative?
So I'm headed there right now. Yeah. So the reason I moved administrative over here is because out of 9 counties, only 2 counties have an administrative assistant. They don't. The 9 intermediate counties don't have the budget. Those that implement it, there's only 2. Out of the 2, which is Socorro is one of them, we are at, actually, I think we're at 75% with our administrative assistant, because when you do the math. So I averaged up the 2, which is us and one other county, is 73.4%, but even with that, our administrative assistant is paid $4,225.43 above the average. So, any questions?
Who's the other county?
I could probably write that down. Let's see, it's 40, I want to say it's Union.
And the probate husband.
Yeah, and the probate judge,
East side, isn't it?
probate judge he's elected, so
There's lower.
I wasn't able to address that, but you can see by the average, he's a little under 2,000 under what the average is for other probates.
Mr. Chairman, Mike, the assessor at a higher rate, is that because of the election?
That is because they fell within that time that they
Right.
could receive what the board has authorized through state statute. And so because that occurred and we implemented the compensation package, then that means the chief assessor was brought up. And you can see what the average is, 47, and the chief is that. So even if you take this out, that drops it down to about even. So actually, if you just did 4% from 47,000, it's 470 times 4. So almost $2,000, you're still at a higher pay rate than the others. If you take the treasurer, because they weren't eligible because they were in an election year, right?
They were in office at the time.
Yeah, they were in office at the time. Then that doesn't kick them up to what we authorized at 60,000 and change.
Right.
And so what that does, it keeps the chief deputy down. So it would be up to the commission if they want to recognize that or understand that that's part of
The process.
the cycle.
Yeah.
The other one is the undersheriff. The undersheriff is fairly close and they pay at 97%. So what that means is if we were paying at 97% like the others, we would be way above the average. And then, of course, this one is way above the average. And only 2 counties out of the 9 have elected to have that as part of the sheriff's budget.
So the average intermediate county is 88%.
Yeah. Well, with different,
But different.
so.
Yeah.
If you take into account, just so you know, the commission is probably one of the lowest, lower paid. But again, that's an election cycle because some got it, some didn't. So for this, people are paying on average 88%. 88%, but it's overpaid. If you average this at 88%, they're underpaid at 692. At this percent, they're overpaid. That's a very high percentage with the development of underpayment. And I could actually go back and wanted me to, I don't want to settle this today, is that I could actually give you on this average, or somebody, if I had my phone, I could do it right away. Maybe I can do it here. Can't work on this from here. If I could do the formula and go.
When the election comes.
Yeah, when it comes. I mean,
What you would do is just take 85% of that.
Yeah. That's right.
Unprotected.
This is my understanding of things, Mike, is we're not necessarily looking at this to increase people that are in office presently. The idea is that we have something in the future for other people who are gonna come in to wanna run and so forth. So it doesn't affect everybody just because of how it's set up. So that's the way I understand it.
If I might, just really quick, I believe the ordinance is wide open after the public hearing to, however you all would like to address it, but I believe the original proposal was a request from the elected officials to increase the percentages that their deputies receive, which would then give every one of those appointed officials a raise once the ordinance goes into effect. So it would affect their pay within 30 days of the adoption.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And then when the elected seat goes through on the election cycle, there'll be another.
Then it goes up again.
Days up.
On the ones that didn't get stuff.
So if you would do 85% of this average, it would mean that we are overpaying by $4,300. You did the 85% of our standard business. And so maybe I'm wrong-headed. My understanding was that commission wanted to look at where we're at and compare apples to apples, and then address whether they wanted to increase the percentage of the appointed personnel based on the numbers, and also identify it as not only a recruiting, but a retention base for the appointed officials, correct? Is that?
Yeah.
So, and that's what you could do today. You could decide, I don't know, let's do everybody at 90. What that would do, again, just like we had with the compensation package, because we're in a, people are in office and those elected officials can't get raises, but it would give effective raises to those chief deputies and then create that compensation burden the next time they are. So when this would go to 60,000, 90% would be at 54. So they would be up here. And this is probably what already happened. This is probably election year for here. I'm sure that's what happened here, because that's pretty much 85%.
So we're comparing apples to apples. So the main apple is the main guy, right? The chief assessor and so forth. The sheriff, the treasurer. So their salaries compared to the other intermediate counties, are we at the top of the heap, the middle of the heap, or the bottom of the heap?
So what ours is, so if you take the mean, I didn't do the mode, so that's the average, but if you look at the other counties, let's just go through it.
The other intermediate counties, right?
Right, intermediate B. So, sorry, I had to reduce it. So, but if you look at Catherine, they didn't, that's their cap, but they didn't submit. So I have to go with the existing ones. So if you took where we're at, we're pretty close to, for the undersheriff, we're only lacking $424.
Not the undersheriff, the sheriff.
Oh, so
The
the
main,
sheriff,
yeah.
we are, well, the average is 55 and we pay our sheriff 63 and
And then
change.
the assessor, those were the two high ones that I.
So the assessor, we're at 60 and the average is at 53.
So that's where you wanna be. You wanna be at the top of the heap. That's just.
Yeah, as close as you can, and that, when we did it, when I,
So everybody understands that.
and put the compensation package together, that's where I wanted to be, in the upper quartile, not in the median. And we got there with what we could afford budgetarily wise and what the market analysis was.
So, Mr. Chairman, so again, these other elected seats, once they go through the cycle, will they also be at the top or close to it?
So, yeah, it's authorized. I think for the treasurer, it's gonna be right around 60
Yeah.
and change. I believe that's what they authorized that. The sheriff is where that was authorized at. Let's see. Who else got popped out? You did, because you were still in office. A couple commissioners got an increase.
Yeah.
So whoever wasn't in the election cycle got the benefits of our compensation package with the sheriff and the assessor.
Right.
Which then, therefore, based upon 85%, impacted their compensation, which, with that in mind, only lacked from the average $424. So it's fairly, it's complicated when you start drilling down, but it's only a commission decision. If you would do, if you did everybody at 88%, would make that one zero. I don't think you want to detract from anybody, so I don't know if you would want to, I think that's 88%, that would actually make that climb to another 1,800. So you'd be, if you made it across the board 88%, that one would be overpaid by almost $6,000. This one, at 88%, you would knock off 40, so maybe $1,500, so you'd still be lacking 1,500. Here you'd wipe it out as well. You'd wipe it out and it'd be above.
So for the next election, for the ones that are running, that has to go before the board for an increase, correct?
So the next election, the commission's already authorized that compensation package. The commission has been very generous in giving annual increases that was solidified. And then with the new compensation package, that even kicked it up more and it was solidified in, I think if you remember the compensation package, those were in magenta, the ones that were identified that once either a new elected official came in or they were reelected, they would go into that. And that's only if the commission doesn't then again authorize COLAs before the election year, so that this 60 grand and change could actually go up another 600, 1,200 until the election cycle.
Any more questions from our manager? Commissioners? Anyone? It's open.
Do we have comments from the main apples?
Yeah.
The sheriff, the assessor, and clerk?
Is that me at the back?
Yes.
So thank you, Mike, for presenting everything. I know you're doing comparison of numbers, but the times that I've looked at it with the other counties, they're doing either 85 to 90%. So that's what the elected officials are asking for, to go up to the 90%.
Yeah, that is, so don't get me wrong, there's some that do 90% because that's how you come up with this 88, because some are at 85 and some are 90. And that's why you don't get an even number, you get 88.18 because you take all those counties considered.
But the elected seat might not be as well paid as our elected seat.
That's what brings it down.
Yeah, that's what brings
That's an app.
That's what brings it down. Well, you can see here. So that really impacts, and that impacts it here as well. The Doggo and Catherine. Because they may, well, just do the math here. 10% from 42,000 is 4,200. So, you know, so they're at 80%. Moore is at 80%. Debaca, 8,800. They're at, Debaca's at 90%. And I could go through and identify just off the top of my head if you want me to.
No,
But,
I get it.
okay.
Sheriff?
Está flaco.
Chairman Martinez, commissioners, hello. You know, I have to thank you guys. You guys have always been generous to us. Always, always, always. And if I came up here and said that my guys weren't worth the 90% or whatever raise you were willing to give them, I'd be lying, because I believe that Amanda and Debbie are worth 200 times what I'm worth. Amanda does a work of 10 people, and now we got Debbie in. She's coming in and she's kicking butt and she's really working hard. And I know that all of us elected officials feel the same about our employees, and we're gonna always try and get what we can to show them we appreciate them. And the commission is like, again, has always showed us that you guys appreciate us, because you've gone out of your way, and Manager Hawks has gone out of his way to do a lot of hard work to get us raises. And we understand sometimes that sustainability, there's a lot I've learned from Mike, is sustainability is important. And I would love to see my guys getting 90%, and I know Betty would also, just, you know, because times are hard now. And I think our people are working very hard. And I really don't know what else to say other than they absolutely deserve it. And I know this is putting you guys in a hard position because you're thinking, okay, budgetary, how are we gonna do it? But I think we'll understand either way because we know that it is a hard position. And getting it a shot to try and get them more is important to us. But we also know, you guys have your difficulties too. And either way, I as the sheriff, I'll understand whatever you can do, whatever you can. But they do deserve it. And I just appreciate your ear and appreciate you guys always being members to this, So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. Now we need a motion to return to regular session, correct, Adrian? A motion to return to regular session?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Duggins. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're back in regular session. We're gonna go now, I moved C to the bottom of that. So it's Socorro General Hospital distribution of meal levy funds proceeds. Ms. Khan.
Chairman, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Chairman and County Commissioner, my name is Veronica Pound. I'm the Hospital Chief Executive at Socorro General Hospital, and I also serve in the role of Nurse Chief Executive. I'm here this morning to request the distribution of funds from the Socorro General Hospital mill levy for the first quarter. We're asking for distribution of the hospital mill levy proceeds to be distributed on the following date, April 30th, 2023, for $250,000. And as always, I need your approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Duggins. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved.
And I will be back in July to request the second and third quarter and also give our scope of services presentation in July.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Pound, are there any doctors in town that can accept new patients?
Good question. Right now, we are struggling. We have lost, Dr. Bocc is going to retire, as you have heard. Dr. Quintuico is moving to California. We have offers out to a family practice OB doctor. Her name is Dr. Rooney. She's in the process of looking at the contract and accepting. We have an offer out to a Dr. Akhaven, and she's family practice OB as well. She comes from the University of New Mexico. And we also have an offer out to a general surgeon, and Helms from Chinley. So soon, once we get those docs onboarded, we will be able to open up, at least in our clinic, for new patients. I know it's a struggle for our community. I know Dr. Basker is doing his best to continue with some of his patient load, but some of that, his are coming our way. And so at some point with Dr. Bocc, you got Dr. Bocc, Dr. Basker, and Dr. Quintuico. That's about 10,000 patients between the three of them. So lots of patients.
Yep.
So we're doing our best to recruit, and so hang in there, you guys. Doing our best. And then PMS still has the internal medicine position as well. Presbyterian Medical Services is not Presbyterian Healthcare Services. It's just the clinic across the street from us. And they have an internal medicine doc and nurse practitioners. We all, we call it our medical community. We all try to work very closely together to service our county.
If I might, just one quick question. So is it true, or I don't know how the medical malpractice insurance works, but I have heard New Mexico is much higher or greater risk or something that we're It's as a state, is that true?
Yeah, that is very true. And so we have two legislators in for our county that advocated against that bill. And I'm very proud of them. They worked with the New Mexico Hospital Association to help that not happen. So basically, they want to charge the docs lots and lots of money for if they get sued. There's the cap is just unbelievable, and you won't get doctors to come to New Mexico with that cap being so inflated compared to the rest of the nation. And so it's a huge issue. Some good news though, when it comes to RNs, we've had 4 local graduate nurses that are from Socorro that we have offers out to. That's huge. Very appreciative of that, of them staying home with us. And so we do have open RN positions in our community. And if you know of anyone that wants to go to nursing school, radiology school, echo tech school, you have to give me a call and we'll help them find their journey to get into school.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll return back to the, in order, A, consideration of ordinance 2023-01, amending the Socorro County Personnel Ordinance 2016-02 to modify the salaries of the undersheriff, sheriff administrator, chief deputy assessor, clerk, and treasurer.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we had the public hearing. Before you is the proposed ordinance with blanks in where for the percentages. At this point, it's the pleasure of the commission whether or not you would like to debate and fill those numbers in, whether you would like to postpone this until you have more information or any other action that you all would like to take. If you do adopt it today with a consensus on the numbers, the raises would go into effect in 30 days after it's published, because that's pursuant to 437.1. That's when the ordinance takes effect.
What are the wishes of the commission?
Well, hearing the numbers that Mike gave in the line of having a better workforce and being competitive, I think you should always strive to be the best at what you're at. And what the assessor mentioned and the sheriff mentioned, I want to make a motion to do them all at 90%.
Do you have a motion by Commissioner Gonzalez? Do we? Say again?
And in that language also, my understanding was that there was some discussion between the manager and the different department heads. I'll just call them that, the elected officials, and they know how they run their department, and if they feel that that's where they're going to spend their money, then I'm okay with it.
And just in case, just let me make sure I clarify and make sure I have this correct. Is it 90% for everyone but the executive secretary? And is that a different percent, or are you proposing all 90%? Currently, the executive is at 70 and everyone else is at 85.
5%.
I think we should just, sorry.
Commissioner Scotero?
My recommendation is instead of just setting everybody at a percentage, I think just to be fair across the board, it should be just a percentage in terms of, that way everybody has that.
So 75% then?
I mean, well,
And that would be, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. So if we do a percentage increase, 5% would be 90% for the 4 officials and then 75% for the administrative secretary. Is that correct? Or
given the fact that we're not taking away from anything, right? We're not taking away from anybody in regards to if we make this, if we go up 5%. No. Okay.
We're at what now?
85 and 70.
85 for the sheriff, treasurers, chief deputy clerk, chief deputy assessors, chief deputy, and it is 70 for the administrative assistant to the sheriff.
So I'll amend my motion. My motion would be 90% for all the deputies and 85 for the administrator. And just because the stats show that we're one of only 2 counties that actually have that region. So that's why I would say the 85 and 90.
So it's increasing it from 70 to 85.
Yes.
Yes, so to be clear, the sheriff, the under sheriff will be at 90, the 3 chief deputies will be at 90, the administrative assistant will be at 85 per your motion.
That's my motion.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I hate to rain on the parade, but I'm going to. So they're gonna get this raise, this proposed raise right now.
30 days.
30 days.
Okay, 30 days. And when that seat goes in a year and a half, you're gonna get another raise. And we're already at the top of the hill. I mean, everybody wants more money, right? I mean, everybody in this room wants more. Where are we gonna get it? And when interest rate falls, and it's going to someday, is it better to pay more and then face layoffs later when things get bad? And then if you give this one a raise today and that elected seat goes through the cycle, gets another raise at that time, or not the rest of them, hey, I want a raise again too. I don't know. No, we're paying, are we not one of the poorest counties in the state? And we're paying at the top, then that's all right. But we have roads to build and I don't know, not me. I'll stand in the rain alone, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Mike. Mr. Commissioner Duggins mentioned that they would get another raise. What are the raises next year? If we give them 90%, what are the raises at?
Chairman, Commission, what I believe he's referencing and making the analysis connection to is that when there's a new election year, the elected official goes in at the then new compensation, which could include not only the compensation package that was implemented, but then any COLAs that the commission decides on between now and then. So then therefore, the chief deputy would then be at that compensation, even though it's at 90%, it would actually come out to be maybe 10 to 12% of those that aren't in an election rate process after they're elected. So that's what I believe he's saying is, so it's
So currently upon, when the new term starts for the elected officials, which would be the county clerk and the county treasurer, when the new term starts in January 1st, 2025, their amount will go up, therefore that 90% will also go up. Correct.
They have to wait, just like we do an elected official, you cannot vote for your own raise.
I would have to say that, and then in all fairness, if you remember in the analysis that I performed, only 2 counties out of the 9 counties actually allocated a budget for an administrative assistant. That's not meaning that they're necessary. That means that for some reason, those other counties have decided that budgetarily, they're a luxury they can't afford. With our numbers, that present position is actually overpaid by 4,000 and change, according to the market analysis. So an increase of 15% then would kick that up to a huge amount over what any other county, intermediate county, is even acknowledging or paying.
Thank you. I just have a comment. Now, for my well-being, if we give them what was recommended, can we afford it? And is it sustainable for the coming years, for the budget? I'm asking, what do you recommend? You're a manager, you budget the numbers and.
So I can tell you that, that the number that's presented will have a definite fiscal impact. Sustainability is a definite possibility if we, again, we've been very frugal in how we've been administering our funds. I would say in the inside of fairness, that it should be equal. Not only will that then deter animosity and reasonability, but and being reasonable, but it also acknowledges that with that amount, sustainability then obviously becomes more palatable, easier to accomplish.
Manager Hawks, what do you mean equal? What?
Equal on, so I believe there was a motion for 5% across the board, and then I think someone, I believe that would be equal, and therefore you don't run the gambit of animosity. Well, we saw animosity with the compensation package because there had to be a starting point, and when some received and some didn't, because based on market analysis, it became very hostile. So if we're going to do implementation, I think that would be equal when you treat them equal, even understanding with that some may still be close to or at the top, and some will even be far above it.
In our county,
So,
We,
Chair,
Go ahead.
so what is the motion right now on the floor?
It's hanging on by a thread. It's just out there, so if it doesn't get, then we can readdress it with the.
So is it the 5% for everybody so that it's,
No, it's 90 and 80, 90 for the 4 and 85 for the sheriff's administrative secretary.
and there was a motion, and a
Motion.
second by Commissioner Aguilar.
Oh, there was a second, so then we vote, and then. if it
That's
doesn't
correct.
pass, and then we just move on. And then we can readdress it.
is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please, on this one.
Commissioner Aguilar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Secretary,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins,
no,
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes,
Chair Martinez.
I'll have to vote no.
So
So to be clear, I'm sorry, go ahead.
so the motion passes. But
So the motion is 90 for everybody and 85 for the administrative assistant.
correct.
Yes.
It will go into effect in 30 days.
That's the way you understand it, Greg?
So it's 5 for everybody and 15 for the admin assistant.
Correct.
and no money for guardrails.
Okay. Item B, this is a good part here. Recognition of Haven Nance for 20 years of service to Socorro County and the senior center staff. We'll do Nance first, and then we'll do the senior center staff.
God bless Adrian Nance, no?
Um,
How many managers does that make in this county? Several?
Several, for sure.
And have you done the same 20 years in other counties?
No, this is my longest, this is the longest.
Commissioners.
How you do it?
Many years. I remember Adrian when he used to come to the farm. He was a little boy. Jen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Sir?
You know that comment about.
That's true. It is because of all the time. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
We'll wait for Mike. Okay. I'd like to read this, just some of the items Adrian Nance contributions to the county of Socorro. Adrian has been providing professional advice for over 20 years. His expertise has been utilized in every area of law that can imagine. There are too many to mention, but I would like to just mention a few. He has provided guidance and professional advice in the areas of personnel and human resource management, election law, land and property, detention, law enforcement, as well as guidance in the county's overall programmatic goals and objectives. Adrian has represented the county of Socorro on many fronts and gone to extraordinary lengths in the defense of Socorro County. He has defended the county of Socorro all the way to the New Mexico Supreme Court and won. Adrian has saved the county of Socorro millions of dollars in litigation fees through insight and foresight when evaluating a situation or circumstance and maneuvering through the legal issues with effectiveness and efficiency. Further, Adrian has helped generate millions of dollars in revenues through strategic deployment of legal measures that have been advantageous in securing agreements and contracts that have increased the county's revenue base, which we need, thus assisting the county in providing more service to the community members of Socorro County. The county of Socorro is forever grateful to you for your dedication and service. Mr. Nance.
Thank you.
Where do you know? Well, I would really like to thank the commission and Mike and all of the officials and employees I've worked with over the years. Look at Audrey there when I first started. You know, it's just a pleasure to be able to serve your home community, you know, where you grew up. And it really means a lot. Thank you all very much. All right.
Cold summer nights.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Now the senior senate, please.
Stay here.
Yeah, stay over there.
Go, Roy.
Go and play center over the Now the senior workers.
Non-workers.
Yeah, but we treat.
Okay. I'd like to read this first, Selena, and then you can come up and introduce each one of your workers. This was sent by Linda Maris this morning to me. She couldn't make it because she has some people sick in the family. She put here, "Hi Ray, please read this for me at the meeting. Good morning, everyone. Very sorry I couldn't be there. Unfortunately, I have family members in the hospital. I'll start off with a big thank you to Mike for all the opportunities he gave me. Thank you to Commissioner for always trying to do the right things for our community. I find myself dedicated to our senior community. I look forward to the transition. I believe this is where I need to be. I worked with an amazing crew. I miss them already. I hope to see some of them come back soon. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge our dedication to the senior center. I wish you all well and God bless. Linda Maris." Then you're the director. Can you introduce your staff
Yes.
and which one come up here?
All right. First of all, I'll have Donalda Ross come up. She was the site manager in Paquita. And Raquel Morales was her assistant there. And then I have Ashley Rosas, who was here in the Socorro Center. Donnie Woodard, come on up, and Helen Griego. And then I also have Yvonne Majeller from the Magdalena Senior Center and Danny Hill from the Socorro Senior Center.
Could you tell us like each one, how many years of service? I know that one.
They better play that. How many years?
16.
16,
No, that's cute.
13,
13.
a year and a half.
8.5.
8 months, I didn't even finish my probation.
11.5 years.
11 and a half.
And I know Linda Mata did that 14. Wow.
And my sister, which worked in Magdalena, she had 20 years. She couldn't make it today. She's been sick off and on, been going to doctors and stuff. And today she had to babysit her. But she also told me to thank the commission and to tell her former workers that she appreciated working that many years there with you guys. It takes a team to make it happen. She misses the seniors. They offered her a job there in Magdalena for the senior, but she says that she's done. You know, it's a lot of work, and because of her age and now her grandkids, she wants to enjoy that. I myself, on behalf of the commission, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. You do it. It's not just feeding our seniors; it's what you do behind the doors. Seniors tell me, this person came over, helped me do this, whatever. And thank you for what you guys do. And I wish you well in your new job. I hope you get hired or whatever you decide to do. I wish you well. And call us. The commission, I know, will help whatever they can to help you. I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then we graduate together.
Okay.
1993. Thank you. You're 80. Thank you.
You wanna call out names and all?
I was you the equipment driver.
Elsa?
Oh my God, it's got all name.
Water and shit.
Take a picture. Okay.
Nice.
Danny Hill. It's beautiful.
Don't take roads. You guys gotta get kind of scrunched in so I can take a picture. And I'll send it to her.
Joe.
Yeah. Mike. Craig.
Yeah. It's a good life.
Yeah.
It makes difference.
One good thing
Mike.
Recently, we found out the village of Magdalena took the center in Magdalena. The city of Socorro took the center here in Socorro and the one in Big. I was so happy to hear that because, it'll stay within here in Socorro County.
They're not gonna run the Vigita. They're gonna deliver meals, but they're not.
But it's,
Which is
Okay, I'm gonna say cheese. Joe, pass on again. I can't. There we go. Okay, say cheese.
Cheese.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, guys.
it? Should at least take 2 and 3. Oh, electric.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Item D, presentation of Matthew Ellis, MRPAPHIA. Is Matthew here?
Matthew, we have, D,
Yes.
Matthew Ellis, MRP, right?
Not here.
No, try not, we don't have to table it maybe till next meeting?
No,
No?
we'll move on. If he comes, then we'll come back to it. Item E. Say again?
That was D.
Yes, sir. Item E, agenda request for planning and zoning by Richard Thomas and Manuel Romero. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for having us here again today. My name is Kirby Romero and I reside at 339 Highway 116 in Avesta. I'm here along with my husband, Manny Romero, and our neighbor, Rick Thomas. We've come here today to ask the commissioners for guidance on harassment we're receiving while practicing our primary right to practice agriculture in our home. We've had our lawyers send the Boccas and Sandoval's letters asking them to stop harassing us while we're practicing our right to practice agriculture as outlined in the ordinance 01-001, establishing that the right to practice agriculture is the primary right within Socorro County without a response. When we purchased the property, we were under the impression there were no ordinances against us practicing agriculture in the area. It is our understanding of the laws that what we're doing is all within our rights and is not illegal. We first built our horse facility for ourselves, then volunteered it as a facility for a local nonprofit riding center to hold therapeutic riding lessons. Before we volunteered it to the riding center, we contacted the office of the county manager to ask if there were any permits or anything we needed to proceed with the riding center using our facility. The county manager office informed us there were no zoning ordinances in the area and we did not need any special permits. So we proceeded to offer our home as a place for the riding center to offer their lesson. Because the riding center is a nonprofit organization, they rely on donations and fundraisers to be able to feed their horses, pay for vet bills, and fees for any of those who are not able to pay for lessons themselves. Because we have the space, we have offered to host some events to generate funds to assist the riding center. It has become apparent our neighbors don't agree with the events that we are hosting and have called authorities to come out to most of our events. It is becoming more and more challenging to host these fundraising events while having to stop in the middle to speak with authorities. We have had to speak with the state police, who found no violation, the sheriff, who also did not find any violations, and the county ordinance officer, who also did not find us to be in violation of any ordinances. We understand change is difficult, but we all know change is inevitable. We want to bring good things to this community and help where we can, not cause hardship to anyone. We have many testimonials from those who have come to our home and participated in events that they felt helped them and their families. We also understand there used to be a special zoning committee that was created to prevent a nuclear cleaning site from forming in the area. We understand the special zoning committee hasn't met in over 10 years, but it is supposed to be for the good of all the people in the area. We know a law cannot be changed for one specific area. So if this committee was to reform and want to change zoning, the new zoning would need to be for the whole area, and many families in the area with animals would be affected. We're also aware of a land conservation group that was formed to preserve the history of the area. I, for one, love history, and I would love to be part of that group if it were ever to reconvene. With deep roots in Socorro County, as my father was born here and my grandfather helped build the power grid here, I love history and I would love to help educate others in the area about what a great county we live in. We feel we are doing a good thing here for our community and many of those who reside in the community and surrounding areas. We have offered fundraising events and charity events. With our understanding of the law, we are operating lawfully and just want to be left alone while we're helping the community. Any guidance you have to offer is greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much for your time. We do have the ordinance that I referenced, if you all would like to look at it. And then it does reference the Equine Law Act, and the Equine Law Act is attached at the back as well.
Mike, do you have any comments or?
And Mr. Chairman, I certainly appreciate them, them coming and expressing their concerns. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with individual property issues, it would not be proper for the board to provide advice.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, the other item F, agenda request for special zoning district resolution by Al Sandoval and Hilario Baca.
Good morning
Good morning.
and happy Easter,
Happy Easter to you.
Commissioner, Chairman, Commissioners on the board and everything. What I'm here for is because, again, when we mentioned the special zoning commission, and the zoning commission district is in process as from our last meeting. We're here in December 13th, I think it was. Is that right there, Adrian?
Sounds right.
Yeah. And during that meeting, it was mentioned that the zoning commission didn't have all of its commissioners in place. And there are 3 commissioners that are left of the original commissioners. One, Romy Baca, Ben Skinner, Jean Carrillo, and Tony Salas. Tony Salas is very sick right now and couldn't make it. Mr. Carrillo couldn't make it either. He was out of town or not available anyway. And Romy this morning called me and said she couldn't make it either. So I'm here by myself, and our request here is we mentioned that during the December 13th meeting that in order to reinstate the zoning deal, we had, or to make it more authoritative, I guess, is really the zoning district is already here, is to create or elect new commissioners to the zoning district, okay? So we went to the county clerk gave us a lot of information and said that in order to be on the ballot on November, a resolution needed to be given to her office. I think between the month of June and July, right?
Yes, sir.
So my request here is to get some advice, especially from you, Adrian, since the zoning district is kind of a part of the county, all right? I don't know if this falls in your bailiwick or not, but we need some help putting the resolution together. Your input in the resolution together. That's the request today.
You know, Mr. Chairman, certainly, what I'd be glad to do is maybe to find you some sample versions, because basically, as the county clerk explained, anytime there's an independent entity that, you know, needs an election, for instance, the soil and water, the MRGCD, you know, the school districts, they do their own resolutions and then send them to the county clerk. So that is what's needed here. To be clear though, the special zoning district is completely, you know, it has nothing to do with the county once it's adopted. It is, you know, it is its own entity. So, so I can certainly maybe help find you, and email you some sample copies, and then maybe you can just work through them with that. And I don't mind looking at them, just to make sure it's correct from the county clerk, because that would be part of my job.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would also mention, so what is important, once the zoning district was created, you have to continue to have elections every cycle. Otherwise, the board members have no authority. So basically what we have here is a situation where the zoning district exists, but it really has no ability to function until, as Mr. Sandoval says, they call a new election and vote in new members. Then those new members will be sitting in a position where they can either, you know, pass zoning ordinances, or they could call for the dissolution of the district. They can take whatever action they need to do, you know, to continue the district. But they do need the election to make that happen. The other thing I would also mention to Mr. Sandoval, since you're in the beginning of it, is, you know, when you are dealing with, you know, with zoning, you know, it's basically the government, you're sitting in the government's shoes, and then you're dealing with people's private property rights. So it is important. There is a lot of possible litigation and liability that comes with that, and the county can't cover it. So I would suggest you reach out to risk management as well and ask if they will insure your organization, because otherwise you don't want to be personally liable for the actions that you all take.
That's true. That's true. Okay, and risk management through
State of New Mexico risk management. They might cover your entity.
Okay.
And I'll get you their number.
And the zoning district is in the process of hiring, I guess, if you will, or reaching out to a lawyer, okay? And we're in the process of doing that right now, or they are. Again, one other question was, since there are 3 original commissioners left, could they appoint? I think it has to be an election.
There has to be an election.
Okay, yeah, all right, very good. All right. So to kind of give a briefing of what the current zoning district is, what it was put together for is to try to mitigate, I guess is a good word for it, commerce or businesses from coming in. And we're starting to see a lot of situations where RV parks, marijuana, what do you want to call them, road places, the hoop houses are coming in. Other commercial projects, and as the Romeros and mentioned earlier, it is an agricultural community, and we like to keep it that way. So, been that way for centuries. Okay, so that was the reason, not only just the nuclear plant thing, but the other commercial properties that are moving in. And yeah, change is inevitable, but you have to have some sort of way of governing that change. Otherwise it runs amok, okay? And you don't know what you're gonna get. So that's the reason for the special zoning commission or the district, and that's, so Adrian, you have my email, so please do send that information, and we'll be getting you the resolution soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Attorney Nance, you said that it would not be proper for this board to advise either side you're talking about legal issues that he said, but I wondered whether I should say this or not, but like a personal thing that happened to me with a neighbor, and I just would like to share my experience with them.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, when I say, don't discuss, we don't want to discuss any individual cases. If you have, something to tell about what's happened, or if we're discussing about an ordinance in general, that's one thing, but individual people's property we don't touch.
So I live in Limitar, right? And so, I got divorced many years ago. And it got bad, not with my wife, but with her brothers. It got so bad that two of them came to my house with a fence post, broke my shoulder, and busted me up a little bit. I carried a 357 with their name on it for 20-some years. And every time I met them in the road, my heart would just sink, wreck my day, because we were the bitterest enemies. Then one of them had an accident. And I thought, should I go to the hospital? Should I not? They might run me off. I don't know. But for the good or for the bad, nevertheless, they've been a big part of my life. I took the gamble and it paid. He since died and I miss him so much. But if he was here, we told each other so many times. We were very thankful that for the last 10 years, we became the best of friends. And how nice it was. My heart didn't ache anymore. And I don't know anything, but I wanted to share that with you. It's a waste of a day I'm not against, I want a good county. But it's a waste of time to fight with neighbors if you can work it out. Someday you'll have the chance. Don't pass it up. And I tell these kids that they hate their dad. Someday you're going to have a chance to mend that fence. Don't pass it up. Don't pass it up. When the day comes, if you can shake hands together and be able to wave together at each other on the road, how beautiful is that?
That's very good. Good advice.
It was a wreck of 25 years for me. And I hate to see other people. We're a small community. We're all agriculture. They're agriculture, but it's nice. People say, well, who'd you wave to? I don't know. Do you have to know? I mean, you know what I mean? I even told the Conservancy, your boys are city boys now. They don't wave to anybody anymore. I want to wave.
Well,
when the day comes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Item G, consideration of an intergovernmental service agreement with the 7th Judicial District Court for court security services. Cheryl.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Yes.
Basically, what this is we're going to be getting some money from the court system in Socorro Central District and the Magistrate Court. And so statutorily, we are obligated as the Sheriff's Office to do security for the District Court. And not so much for the Magistrate, but we do it sometimes, when they need help. But what this is giving us money to do that, right? Before they never gave us money for this. And heck, we'll take all the money they'll want to give us for what we're supposed to do anyway, right? So we're going to be assisting the Magistrate Court certain days when they're having in-person hearings, and same with the district court. And what we're hoping happens coming up in the future is that this position will turn into a full-time position. So they're looking for monies to give us, and it'll be recurring money, to give us the ability to hire somebody in a full-time position to just handle the courts. So that person would organize and get with the courts and say, on these days we'll need you here, on these days we'll need you there. And they'll be able to work it out that way, which is good for us. So now there's another deputy when they're not in court that they can go out and assist on calls and whatnot. Nowadays, the new world we live in, we do a lot of computer, over the phone, over the computer type court hearings, which is completely new to us as law enforcement. We've never really had to do that. So they won't always be busy in the courts. So, and I believe they're giving us, what was it, Manager Hawks, is it $50,000? So it's $50,000, and I think we worked it out to where we would need another $27,000, something like that, ish, for us to get a full-time position. And according to Jason Jones, the court administrator, he's going to work on that. And again, this would be a reoccurring money that we're going to be getting. It's been passed through the legislature to help different court systems. So originally it is through the magistrate, but they're working it out to work through the magistrate and the district court. Any questions?
Also, Sheriff. So what do we need here, Michael? Motion to
Accept.
accept. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez. Seconded by Commissioner Aguilar. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Item H, consideration of letter intent to facility building incorporated for construction of Fire Marshal's office building.
Chairman, Commissioners, that you have on your agenda in front of you is an LOI, or a letter of intent, in order to enter into contract with Facility Build in order to design and construct a new fire marshal's office / training facility at the existing location of the sports stage. So it's a contract to kind of repurpose the property into something usable, as the building now is unusable and it's uninhabitable. No, you can't really be in there. It's such bad shape. We did get a quote from Facility Build for about $2.5 million. So there's $100,000 from our own funds that we're going to use to $2.5 million to pay loan, utilizing higher excise taxes that come in each year. Do you have any questions on it?
I don't, Commissioners. You guys? You're the fire chief, Joe. What do you think?
Used to be.
Desktop training, correct? Yes. Yeah, and then also, how much of the excise tax? Because there's other uses.
So currently the excise taxes in the account won't be utilized for this. It'll be future taxes, and we haven't got the information from NFA yet as far as how much the pledge is going to require, but it's going to be the majority, at least for the start of the loan.
We still have money for EMS, our appointment.
Mm-hmm. There is still funding for EMS for the contract.
Thank you. So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gonzalez.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Consideration of letter to intent to facility build incorporated for construction of Fire Marshal's office building is approved. Next one is consideration of resolution 2023-41 NMFA Fire Marshal building loan application.
Commissioner, so this is a carryover of what you just approved. The LOI is for us to enter into a contract, and this resolution is for us to gain the information from NMFA and put our application to them in order to be able to proceed with this contract. If we don't receive approval of our application with NMFA, it would of course terminate the contract. This is to approve us to apply.
So moving.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Consideration resolution 2023-41 NMFA Fire Marshal Building Loan Application is approved.
If I may, based on the finance authority interest, you know, how interest has gone up in the private market, how's that?
We've got a really reasonable rate and they applied a disadvantaged rate to our county and we're requesting them to qualify for the $2.5 million. So we don't know the interest rate for sure now, but when we get back the documentation, we'll definitely have it before the commission before it. Right.
So disadvantage is an advantage.
Right.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I missed some of it, but you remember, Mercer, that I said I am all right with it, but no ghetto anywhere. I'm tired of seeing ghetto. This is gonna be a #1 good building, is that right? Where you're the builder. If you build a nice one, I'm with you. If you build ghetto, I'm gonna.
Oh, $2.5 million won't get you anything. Should be a good building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item J, consideration of resolution 2023-42 Village of Magdalena Senior Center equipment donation.
Chairman,
Mike.
Commissioner, sorry. I put together the list for you today, so if you have any questions on the equipment, just feel free to ask me.
The equipment that was taken up for the senior center in Magdalena,
Oh,
now the Village of Magdalena is asking for the county to donate it back to them.
right.
Some of that equipment was donated by people.
Yeah.
So she has a list if you have any questions on it.
But we had to take inventory and we did, and so now it's gonna go back.
Correct. And so, pursuant to the Audit Act, it has to be reviewed by the state auditor and DFA as prepared by Savvy, so.
This is part of that seamless transition.
That's right. Big teams.
And no, we're giving it back. We're not selling it.
Unless you all want to sell it,
No.
right now it's on there.
I wanna sell it.
Or something else. No, so move.
Just call it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez and Commissioner Secretarial second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
More questions.
Go ahead.
So this inventory, is it still in our possession or did we already hand it back over?
Mike,
So the attached spreadsheet and the minor items, those were released, even though we should have, those were released out with the operations. This is the bigger stuff, the freezers and all that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sandy.
okay. It passed. Item K, consideration resolution 2023-43 correctional facility GRT refunding bonds.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
For the record, my name is Mark Valenzuela. I'm a financial advisor, and I met with you a month ago to talk about refinancing these bonds, and then also the next item is for your general obligation bonds. The market hasn't changed much, frankly. It's moved up and down quite a bit, but we're still pretty much in the same place that we were at when I met with you the first time, although the outlook has changed slightly. And the outlook is now with the market anticipating that the Fed will start to slow its increases that they've been putting in place, and even potentially starting to lower rates. And so that's what's before you today is just the start of this process, the first step to take the legal action necessary to trigger the professionals. Ms. Melendres is back here. She would be the bond attorney on the transaction. I would be the financial advisor on the transaction. to take you through this, to hopefully get you savings on these existing bonds that you have through a refinance. Now, state of New Mexico has a lot to say about these kinds of transactions. And the main thing they say is if you don't achieve at least a 3% net present value savings, they will not approve it to move forward. So it's in your interest that the state's doing that on your behalf. Frankly, I wouldn't bring the transaction to you unless you were saving money after all the costs that are paid on it. And so the document that's in front of you is the legal authority to start the process. After you pass this, and you'll notice in that document, we call it a parameters resolution. You'll notice that there's we reference state law in these parameters. So for instance, you'll see in this case that the maximum interest rate here on this transaction could be up to 12%. Well, if we got a 12% rate, it would not be feasible. But what we do is we just put these parameters in so that nothing in there impedes this commission from moving forward. And so what will happen is after you take action here and hopefully if you approve this, after the 30 days of limitation, which is state law, you have to let this sit out there for 30 days. After that, and then if we're able to find a transaction that saves you that amount of money, we'll bring back what's called a sales resolution or a pricing resolution to county manager and to you to show you what the actual pricing has been and whether you save the money. So that's what's in front of you, the first part of this. After 30 days and with a good market, we might come back to you with another pricing resolution. So that's the first item. The second item is the same information for general obligation bonds that you have outstanding. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions that you or any of the commissioners might have.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Mike, your recommendation for both of those?
My recommendation is to do pass, just for denote, it's K and L is 43 and 45, not 44, that's a typo.
Mine says 43.
43 and what, 44?
Yeah, 40, it should be 43 and 45. 44 does not exist. It's a typo.
The number didn't make it on the agenda, not a big deal, it's just a technical irregularity, but the resolutions are still valid, numbered 43 and 45.
Okay, so motion, recommended to approve.
Yes, sir, I think it is a good business decision.
So, but
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, so if there's savings, it's a good thing to do, but you think maybe the interest or things might start coming back down. Would it not be better to wait a little bit? I mean, like, okay, say we save 3% now, but they're really gonna go down 5%. We don't know that. Would it be better to wait and catch that 5% than to, I mean, it's a gamble, right?
It's a bit of a gamble, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner. What this legal document has a life of 2 years. So it'll exist out there for 2 years. There's nothing to say that we cannot come back.
But
So
you
when
need
the
3
rates-
points.
That's right. When rates change, and I'll be looking at this continually for you. And frankly, this document has delegated authority, which means your county manager and your finance officer can look over everything I do and sign on that agreement and then bring it back to you. That delegated authority lives for 4 months. After that, we have to bring the deal back to the committee for its approval before it becomes effective. So to answer your question is, we have a 2-year outlook here. And if we get a scenario where we have 3% net present value savings, you can be sure that I'll be back in front of you and letting you know that you have a valid transaction to move forward on. And then we'll talk about what we think the world looks like.
I was just thinking, well, if we take the 3, say now, and we don't get 3, but we get 2 more, you know.
I'd
rather borrow money too. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I just personally, I had some crypto stock that I sold yesterday, and it's already up $2 more than what I sold it at. So, sometimes, frankly, you make these decisions and you accept the savings, and then you move forward.
But in your crystal ball, it's coming down maybe in a year,
I think within 6 months, although
6 months.
2024.
I think this last 6 months of the year look like a scenario where the Fed will certainly stop raising. Whether they go down or not is.
If recession comes, does that usually bring lower interest?
There will be an effort, Mr. Chairman, to pull back on interest so that you stimulate business activity, so that businesses go borrow and spend and do all of that. There's an important report coming out tomorrow, the inflation report. And that'll impact markets. So I might tell you something completely different next month because of that report on Wednesday. But again, none of us have a crystal ball. I think what we're doing here is we're setting the county up to take action when it is beneficial.
Thank you.
And if it never happens, then we'll never do the deal.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, you've heard conversation on both sides. You heard the recommendation of our manager. I need a motion to approve item K and item L.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Duggins, second by Commissioner Gonzalez. Any further discussion?
So we combined those two motions then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
42 to 44.
all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Both K and L are approved. Resolution 2023-43 and Resolution 2023-44. Item M. 45, I mean, sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Consideration of Resolution 23-46, Open Meetings Act, revised.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, as you know, this board annually pursuant to the Open Meetings Act sets when its meetings are going to be and the days, the times when the regular meetings are going to be set. This board this year in January said that the meetings are going to be at 9 o'clock in the morning on the second Tuesday and 5 o'clock in the evening on the fourth Tuesday. Tuesday is the traditional day for Socorro County, although the times have changed. Before you are 3 different resolutions, just samples, and we can make changes even further, but one of them sets the meeting at a standard time at 10 o'clock in the morning on both Tuesdays. One of them sets just one Tuesday a month, and one of them is blank, so you all can just fill it in. So, but really, what it comes down to is you all can set these times whenever you please. If you would like to go to one meeting, some counties do one meeting. Some counties have more than 2 meetings. So there's no rhyme or reason. It depends on how you all would like to operate.
You heard our attorney managers, commissioners. What is the wish of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I just think that we need to set them at the same time, the time of day time. If we have 2 meetings a month, 2 meetings a month, 1 meeting a month, even if we have unless it's an extreme emergency, but a special meeting at the same time, because we have 9s and 10s and 3s and 5s.
Okay, so what is your recommendation? You have 3 proposals there.
So I'll make a motion that we go to once a month at 5 p.m. on the second Tuesday of the month. See how that flies.
Chair Martinez, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins, on the second Tuesday of the month, elections fall on that time. We do use the annex building for elections. Filing date also falls on that Tuesday. So that's a very busy Tuesday for the county clerk's office. But again,
I understand, but Nancy said is it a tradition and can we do it Wednesdays?
You could, but I would suggest sticking to Tuesdays, maybe the fourth Tuesday. But I will say this, I mean, you can, if there's a conflict once or twice a year, you can always change that. You can change that meeting, or you can set it all the fourth Tuesday and have no conflict whatsoever.
Well, then I'd like to amend my motion to the fourth Tuesday of the month, once a month at 5 p.m. And we're gonna lump some of this
And if I may,
agenda together.
Martinez, and it's up to the board's wishes, like Adrian has said, but if we're gonna have one meeting a month, right now, as we have 2 meetings, our meetings go sometimes from 3 to 5, 6 hours. Are you sure you wanna do it at 5 p.m.?
We're gonna install an overdrive in Ray, and we're gonna lump some of this stuff together.
Again, it's up to the commissioner's wish, but if you guys take into consideration also.
I made the motion, so it'll either have to fly or fail.
We have a motion before you. We'll vote on this, and then if any other commissioner has another motion, or do you have a proposal before we vote?
Was there a second, Mr. Chairman?
Not yet.
Yeah.
But may I, Adrian, Attorney Nance, can we not, we can make this agenda more efficient, right? Either at the meeting or.
You certainly can,
Manager.
certainly can do it in the manners, you can do a consent agenda, or you can, at the beginning of the meeting, motion to approve items A through J or whatever.
We don't need to do the birthdays, and we really, but like the checks and stuff all under one. I mean, we can trim this down.
Make a motion to cover them all.
Just so that the commission is aware. That's my wish, but the motion is made. But my wish is to trim that, make that agenda more efficient.
Before I ask for a second, here's where I'm looking at. Look at the daily agenda the way it is. I personally feel, this is just me, it's a commission decision, but I personally feel we need to meet twice a month, 10 o'clock in the morning, to have time to do the decisions that we need to do. Where it doesn't impact employees on overtime, and it gives a chance for the public to come in and talk. At 5 o'clock, my fear is we're gonna be here at 10, 11 o'clock at night at sometimes. We can consolidate a bunch of stuff together, but our main function is making sure everything's done right. Like when we approve the vendor checks and the payroll checks, do you commissioners look at those? Or you just randomly just approve them as we go through it? That's one of our main functions. So that's my recommendation, that we need to meet at least twice a month. But that's my recommendation, twice a month.
But my motion's on the floor, it'll have to fly or fail.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Duggins for having the meetings the 4th Tuesday at 5 p.m. of the month. Do I hear a second?
Somebody be. I'm gonna walk out bruised. I'll never do the same.
No wonder you said emotion.
Not hearing a second, motion fails. Now,
Yeah, no, Martha.
2 meetings a month at 10 o'clock. I motion for 2 meetings a month at 10 o'clock each meeting. Do I hear a second?
So, well,
Hearing none, motion fails.
Okay, being that, I'll make a motion that we have 2 meetings a month, both in the afternoon. And with the understanding that there will have to be a schedule change because of the elections, but that's okay.
at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
And I'll second that because we were asked by the public to do these. I mean,
Yeah.
And it'll stay the same dates.
Yes.
second, fourth Tuesday.
Second and fourth Tuesdays, 5 o'clock.
Joe made the motion, I seconded, and
Okay. Any further discussion?
So there is a second to that?
Yeah. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'm still bruised.
Let me do it this way. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Yeah, he didn't bet.
Commissioner Aguilar. Vice Chair Secretary.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Chair Martinez.
No, Madam Chair. Madam Secretary. Clerk. Okay, so it passed. Our meetings will be from now on.
5 to midnight.
Right.
No, they're gonna be short, two meetings. With the building, with the building.
Mr. Chairman, with that being said, it's done and over, but Attorney Nance, what does Valencia County do, just out of curiosity?
Valencia County has meetings on the first and third Wednesday of the month at 5:00 PM.
Both meetings.
Correct.
Joe Eagles. There you go.
Okay, we're good.
Do they sing happy birthday too? No, really, do they?
No.
I didn't think so.
So our next meeting will be at 5.
Correct.
Next commission, okay? Consideration of Escondida Lake engineering contract with sites, Southwest RFP 2022-01-468.
Chairman, Commissioners, what you have before you is a contract for an RFP 2022-01-468. The contract is for $13,000 total, which is a little low for an RFP. However, the project that we're looking at is for Escondida Lake, and it may grow in size depending on grant money that we have the capability to receive and have received. So the contract is in place just in case the project grows.
So I motion to approve to accept this that's what we're looking for. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Dugan, second by Commissioner Gonzalez. Any further discussion, Commissioners?
This is for the whole project, right? Like you say, if it grows, we're still with sites.
So we received the 2022 Quality of Life Grant, which is $225,000 from the state. That's what this 13,000 covers. There's other grant applications in place that might grow this, and then.
So there'd be another. Okay.
And there's other monies too, no?
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Escondida Lake engineering contract with sites Southwest RFP 2022-01-468 is approved. Direction to staff to publish and title the general summary of an ordinance amending the nepotism regulations and personnel policy. Mike or Adrian.
Certainly. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, before you, pursuant to section 437(1) is the direction to publish an amendment to our personnel policy regarding nepotism. Commissioner Duggins requested this be on here. There have been two previous proposals regarding nepotism that have not passed that would modify our ordinance. One of which was a simple one that said no individual related to the county manager will be hired when the county manager is hired. And then the second proposal that we had, I want to make it clear, was a little bit
more in depth.
It was a little bit more intense, but it's right here. And I'll tell you that. And then, but basically what the action would be today would be, if you all are interested in amending the personnel policy, to give me some idea of what you would like in it, and then direct that it be published, and we'll prepare that for our meeting in May. The 2018 proposal basically changed the fact. So right now, in our nepotism policy, we define near relative, and we say that no near relatives can work in the same office when there's a supervisory relationship. So theoretically, at the sheriff's office, if there are two deputies and one is their brothers, that's fine. However, you cannot have then one of them be a corporal or a sergeant in higher than that other than his brother, and that's how it currently reads. What this proposal says that you shall not work anywhere in the chain of command in the entire county, and shall not employ a near relative of the Board of County Commissioners. So those are the two proposals that were out there. But this is really open for discussion. This is a big topic, and what would you all like to see any changes?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to talk about that again a little bit. I think, did they not both fail by one vote? Do you have the vote?
I don't have the vote. I believe
The
the
first one
2018
failed by one.
failed by one, but I believe the 2020 did not get published. It did not have a vote.
And so, no, it's just obvious to me that we have some problems. We live in a small town, I get it, but we have problems. And I've heard from other employees that are not within the familia, within the clique, they don't have the same opportunities as other people. And I would like to ask Manager Nance, before you did this massive pay raise thing you worked on, we had a 30% vacancy, or what was it?
At the detention center, it was 34%. In other locations, it was not as pronounced. We had vacancies at the road department, senior centers. It was, I would say, constantly maybe 18%.
And I would argue that some of that can't be fixed with money, because would you go to work for a department that you knew that was going on and be the odd man out? I mean, it hampers us. And I think we can see that it's caused the manager pain in managing the county. And I think I think there's nothing wrong with something along the lines of the 2018. And those that say we live in too small a town, well, the school board does it, the conservancy does it, they all do it within the same town. And those that are already hired, that are already placed, it affects them not, right?
The way the 2018 version says that if they're already employed, it's fine, but they would no longer be eligible for promotions or anything else that would put them in violation.
If their near relative was their manager, right?
That's correct.
Something like that.
In the chain.
It's only fair. So for me, this needs a motion.
It does. You need to direct the title.
I mean, I don't want to get it so stiff that it won't pass, but I mean, it's ridiculous. I think we all know. And I think that Manager Hochstead, could you say that it has caused pain for you managing the county to some degree?
But there has been more than one instance where due to past transgressions where taking action was difficult, because sometimes the violation was hidden for a long amount of time due to a relationship, obviously being a relative. So that has raised its ugly head. I think the other exceptions was actually very evident in the sheriff's department. I think that's actually been through attrition that's moved away. So those were some of the incidents where it proved to be difficult.
And I would like for the record just to say, I've known of none of this with our current manager, not trying to beat him up at all, but he has to deal with it. And it's tough. I've dealt with it in my business. It's tough when you get, it's just tough. And along those lines of 18, I think it's fair.
Okay, 2018, what is it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, let me just, very briefly say exactly what the points would be. One, in the 2018 change, there shall be, you can't work anywhere where there's a chain of command, where there is a near relative in the chain of command. So that would basically, let's just take the manager, for example. Everybody's in his chain of command. So you could not hire a near relative of the manager. So that would take care of that one.
How close?
A near relative is defined as father, mother, spouse, son, daughter, spouse, grandparents, grandchildren, and spouse, uncle and aunt, spouse, first cousin and spouse, nephew, niece, and spouse, brother, sister, spouse, and unrelated persons sharing a spousal domestic partner relationship, as well as adopted step relatives and relatives listed above.
Everybody becomes second cousin.
Everyone what you're saying.
He can hire his son or.
But that's a pretty standard definition. So that's the standard definition in most policies. But so that would be the first section. If you're in the chain of command, you can't hire somebody if they're in your chain of command. The second would be you cannot have a near relative in a position where there is any supervisory relationship in the chain of command, like we discussed. Third, you shall not employ a near relative of a member of the Board of County Commissioners. Those are the 3 points.
But a county commissioner, a person could run for county commission, even though maybe my son works for the county, right? You just couldn't do that while you're sitting here.
Under this ordinance, that means that, yes, the way it's currently written, somebody could have run, and if their son already works for the county, then they don't have to be terminated, but they're going to be in a state of limbo for the duration of that term.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong in that instance. I believe nepotism would be if your son was here and he doesn't have a buffer of supervision or management in between.
That's our current policy, but this is proposing to change it to make it stricter, to say, no, you just can't have them at all, period. That's right, that's what that does.
While we're elected, you can't do any hiring. We shouldn't be doing any hiring.
To this degree?
Correct, to that degree.
So if I run for commission and I get elected with that current policy, none of those people could work for the county if they applied?
No, if they, that's correct. Under what Commissioner Duggins is saying, none of those people that are related to you would be able to apply for the county employment. That's correct.
But I think his question was, if you have people working for the county and you run for commission, right?
No, I'm saying.
Well, that's crazy. I'm gonna hire my son. You think that's right?
No, the commission does not hire Dwayne.
Well, Ray, you have seen, and then people get paid because.
Okay, that's the highlights of those.
That's the highlight of Commissioner Duggins' current proposal.
It's a hard one.
It's tough, but.
And the other one?
What if it's just no employee should work under the direct supervision of a relative, whatever.
That's our current policy.
That's it.
Yeah, but
That's what I'm cool.
But it still has caused a lot of trouble. They go around it. I mean, the road department, it's.
I think you're right. There have been examples of the past where that current policy didn't work.
And
is it something that you want to change the entire policy for, or is it, there are always outliers in policies too.
Let me also tell you that in 2018, we fell short of one vote of passing. And without mentioning names, so there's other boards in this town, you know? And on a one-to-one discussion with me, the vote I was hoping to get, they would not take it because it might affect the son on another organization. So in effect, you have another organization somewhat controlling the commission of the county. Knowing that again, I'm trying to keep the names out, but knowing that this vote needed to be taken, wouldn't take it because it might affect my son. That's just wrong.
Well,
My thoughts on all this is, unfortunately, it is, the policy isn't the problem. It's individuals' decisions, so that's why I think the policy we have is okay with it. But that's just how it is in the workforce. I mean, that's why you do due diligence from here on to hire
And
the right people, have the right people in the supervisor positions that are gonna make the right decision. And I know it's tough and it's family, son, but.
And when you have a good manager, hasta suave. And when you don't, I'm gonna bring my cuñados and primo hermanos todos. And give them more raise, give them more money than your son makes. How about that?
well,
And we've seen it.
okay, what motion do you, commissioners, which one do you want?
It's a guidance, isn't it? For you to draw something up more or less.
Correct, and currently the motion is to direct the publication of the 2018 version of the nepotism revision, which is what I described earlier.
Okay. And I made that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Duggins. Do we hear a second? I'll say again, do we hear a second? Hearing no second, motion dies. Item P, direction of staff to change the June meetings to the 6th for New Mexico County Conference.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner. I know the New Mexico Association of Counties has a conference scheduled during the time in which our regularly scheduled meeting would occur. So we're looking for direction because we know there's several department heads and some commissioners that would like to attend. To either change the meeting to the 6th, which would make sense.
Be at 5 o'clock.
It would be 5 o'clock.
You heard the recommendation of the manager?
What?
Need a motion?
This is just for one meeting,
One meeting.
conference.
Association of Counties.
Have it up there?
No, just change it to the 6th here because Association of Counties starts the 11th through,
The 12th, 13th, 14th?
Oh, one meeting.
Just for the June
Just for that.
meeting. Just for the
Okay.
one meeting.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Gonzalez to move the meeting. Second, second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That will be at 5 p.m.
It was approved to move the June meeting to the 6th at 5 p.m. Okay. Item Q, acknowledge personnel changes. Who wants to take that on?
Got any relatives in there? Maybe better than not.
I don't, Glenn.
You had. This is crooked. I thought it was well.
Jasmine, is it Jasmine? I'll take it. All right. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and do the
Personnel changes?
personnel changes. Item Q. Jasmine Williams, termination from the detention officer. Erica Silva, Road Department, Labor.
Okay. Motion to acknowledge personnel changes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Personnel changes are acknowledged. Item 12, A and B.
Staff, just give me 1 second. And vendor checks for the $236,76.37, and the payroll 11 for the amount of $322,010.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Secretarial and second by Commissioner Gonzalez. Any further discussion? In favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Vendors checks and payroll checks are approved. There is no executive session. So our next commission meeting is April 25th, 2023 at 5 p.m. I guess they knew it was gonna go at 5.
Yeah. Well, that's the regular one. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, remember, I need a motion to, or just, do we reconvene over there, Mike?
What time do we?
Oh,
So,
Mr. Chairman, yes, I'm sorry.
so
Yes, you do recess and reconvene over there.
you recess and reconvene over there, but in the interim, before we leave here, we need to sign, and then we have cake and sandwiches and chips, recognizing agents' tenure. And then whoever's left, we can go over to the detention center and do the inspection.
okay. You heard the recommendation.
So once you guys are done, Mike or Jennifer, you'll send me an email letting me know what is time the meeting was actually over for the minute?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You heard the recommendation, our manager, I need a motion to go and recess. And then we reconvene at the detention center after the reception that we have here.
So
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez, second by Commissioner Secretarial. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are on recess. Thank you, Commissioners.
So we're having this, one right here, Betty, come in, help yourself.